Good evening, friends.
It's been big, right?
Hope you all are safe and well during these times. Indian Business and Professional Council Kuwait welcomes all in one.
One more.
We thank the Indian Ambassador to Kuwait, His Excellency Sri Shiv George, to be the chief guest this evening. IBPC's objective to connect the community together through professional speakers, cultural events, and other platforms of socializing are taking a physical break at the moment. For the past year and a half, virtual platforms has been the only way to connect. But I must say that our members and the Indian community has been very encouraging, participating in all our activities always.
Leave it alone.
The pandemic has hit us hard in different ways,
Nothing we can do.
which has affected the lives of lots of people with different magnitudes. IBPC has been at the forefront of reaching out and helping out to our fellow Indians on behest of the Indian Embassy whenever the ambassador has asked us to. This could not have been done without their support and the active participation again of our esteemed members, the Indian community at large, several organizations functioning in Kuwait, and the local benevolent friends of the Indian community in Kuwait. IBPC's role is to provide a platform to engage the locals in Kuwait and the Indian diaspora in an effort to improve relations and business activity. However, during these challenging times, which has caused havoc and chaos, we have learned to adapt and to deliver to what is the need of the hour, and we are grateful for this opportunity. And now, a short introduction of our keynote speaker tonight. Quite frankly, Mr. Khera is so well known that he does not need much of an introduction, but being our keynote speaker tonight, I must share a few words about him. He comes from a rather well-established but humble family, such that their family business became nationalized when he was just out of college and recently married, and they lost everything. So they had to scratch up whatever they could to survive. So imagine from there, he had to jumpstart his life from whatever came his way, and through his failures, he found himself. Dear friends, IBPC presents to you Mr. Shiv Khera, who is an author, educator, a business consultant, and a much sought after speaker. He inspires and encourages individuals to realize their true potential. He has taken his dynamic personal messages to opposite sides of the globe, from the US to Singapore. His 40 years of research and understanding has put millions on the path of over 8 million copies of his books have been sold globally, including his international bestseller, in 21 languages. His clients include Lufthansa, HP, DHL, HSBC, Canon, Nestle, Philips, Mercedes, Johnson & Johnson, MetLife, and tens of thousands have benefited from his dynamic workshop in over 20 countries, and millions have heard him speak as a keynote speaker. He has appeared on numerous radio and television shows. Mr. Khera is a brand ambassador of Brown People Foundation. He has been honored by the Lions International. His trademark is winners don't do different things, they do things differently. And on this, I would like to quote Mahatma Gandhi: live as if you were to die tomorrow, learn as if you were to live forever. And now I will kindly share a message from His Excellency Ambassador Shri Shiv George, and then it will be followed by Mr. Khera's talk. So I request all our attendees tonight to please switch off your mobile phones or place them on silent at least. Thank you.
President of Indian Business and Professional Council, Sri Gurvinder Lamba, office bearers and members of the Indian Business and Professional Council, esteemed guests of today's event, children, ladies and gentlemen, a very good evening to all of you. I begin by thanking His Highness Sheikh Nawaf Al Ahmad Al Jaber Al Sabah, Amir of the State of Kuwait, and His Highness Sheikh Mishal Al Ahmad Al Jaber Al Sabah, Crown Prince of the State of Kuwait, for hosting the large Indian community in Kuwait and for their leadership in strengthening our bilateral relations between the two friendly countries. I commend the IBPC team for the initiative in arranging this webinar on a topic that I personally think is extremely relevant and noteworthy. The theme of today's webinar is turning setbacks into comebacks. This line of thought is what we indeed need during these crucial times like the ones today under the COVID-19 pandemic related challenges. Dear friends, we all are witnessing events that would be talked about even centuries from now. And when our future generations look at us, they should not sympathize with us for living during difficult times and suffering a monumental tragedy. They should remember us as torchbearers or pathbreakers in the way we turn the moments of crisis into moments of rare opportunities to bounce back ever more strongly. We are a resilient species. We have proved that for hundreds of thousands of years, and we continue to do that with unmatched fortitude, bravery, and ingenuity. Dear friends, every one of our society members is contributing towards that, be it the governments, experts, scientists, businesses, students, as common men and women, young and old, all are chipping in to turn the tide in favor of the humanity. Back home in India too, we have scripted a remarkable story of comeback. We have been at the forefront in this global fight against COVID-19. Since the early days of the pandemic, we as a nation, true to our age-old ethos, have committed ourselves to support global recovery efforts and have been one of the first countries to provide medicines and essential supplies to many countries. We supplied tens of millions of doses of made in India vaccines, Covishield, and the indigenous vaccine Covaxin to more than 90 countries around the world, including to the friendly state of Kuwait. We rightfully justified our tag as the pharmacy of the world. In India, we have addressed the challenges of COVID-19 pandemic impacted economy through a multi-pronged strategy, including through launch of the Atmanirbhar Bharat campaign. Let me quote from an interview of the Honorable Prime Minister of India in which he said, and I quote, "We saw how a new world order was formed after World War II. Something similar will happen post-COVID-19. This time, India will ride the bus of manufacturing and integrating in global supply chains. We have specific advantages in the form of democracy, demography, and demand." Unquote. True to the vision of the Honorable Prime Minister, our industry used this opportunity to reinvent itself. From being an importer of personal protective equipment kits, within a short span of time, we became the second largest manufacturer of PPE kits. India also made a mark in manufacturing technologically advanced items like ventilators, and from almost negligible capacity earlier, we started manufacturing thousands of ventilators in quick time. Dear friends, our IT industry has also used the COVID-19 induced push to come up with innovative digital solutions, which is driving the Digital India growth story. The success of the CoWIN platform and the massive rollout of the world's largest vaccination drive are testament to these turnaround stories being scripted by our ITES industry. To emulate these success stories in other fields, Government of India has launched production-linked incentive PLI schemes for mobile manufacturing, pharmaceutical and medical devices and other products of relevance and importance in the larger context of the vision of Make in India, Make for the World. In this context, my message to each one of you is simple. Do not let the current difficult times overwhelm us. Use this occasion to find opportunities for all-round development, both personally and professionally. Our country's comeback story shows that all of us have that indomitable spirit of faith. Our country's comeback story shows that all of us have that indomitable spirit to face all odds and come out triumphant in exceptionally innovative ways. Creativity and innovation is our hallmark. Back yourself and your potential to deliver the results you desire. Dear friends, many of you would be aware that we recently launched India at 75 to commemorate the 75th anniversary of the independence of our motherland. These celebrations will continue till August 15, 2023. This year, we also celebrate the 60th anniversary of the establishment of diplomatic relations between India and Kuwait. These are very important milestones in the history of our nation and history of the relationship with Kuwait. Like I have mentioned in my earlier interactions and messages, we will be organizing 750 events as part of India at 75 and 600 events to celebrate the 60th anniversary of our diplomatic relationship in partnership with all our stakeholders in Kuwait. One of the important elements of these celebrations is to promote the economic engagement between our two countries. There are several key areas such as energy security, trade and investment, infrastructure development, projects, healthcare, automobiles, petrochemicals, and education, where there exists huge potential to broaden our long-standing partnership and further establish our Atmanirbhar Bharat. In this, our business associations like IBPC could play a very important role. IBPC has been one of the most active forums, and Embassy looks forward to work very closely with IBPC and our business chambers and groups to organize a series of business events to celebrate our 60th and 75th anniversaries and to highlight the emerging new India to the world, to reach out to our Kuwaiti partners and friends. Dear friends, I once again thank the leadership of the Indian Business and Professional Council for organizing this important webinar. Who better to speak about the ups and downs, crises and opportunities, setbacks and comebacks, and motivate all of us to give the best account of ourselves than the guest speaker of the day, Mr. Shiv Khera, who is a world-renowned author, educator, and motivational speaker. I eagerly look forward to his address. Thank you.
So now we'll move on to Mr. Khera with his talk for this evening. Thank you.
I thank you, Mr. Lamba, for inviting me, and of course, the message from Ambassador. Folks, the title of our program is Turn Setbacks into Comebacks. Can you hear me all right? Mr. Lamba, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay, good. So the title is Turn Setbacks into Comebacks. The reason why I picked this title was because in my own life, I've had 3 major setbacks where I went into a minus in my life. What helped me come back is what I'm going to share today. And 2 is, folks, in today's time, I don't think anybody has all the answers. Certainly I don't. And I'm not that educated. My academics are, I'm a BCom 3rd division, I failed in my 10th. That's my academics. Now, I come from a business family. We had coal mines in India, close to 1,000 people working. Now, I didn't create them, I inherited them. And the mines got nationalized, the government took over. And right from being a mine owner, we came on the street. Street means street. Now, some families had money, our family did not, because my father had died when I was just about finishing college. We were left with the liabilities and the assets were gone. And I was married just 4 weeks then. And I remember a year later, my daughter was born, and I sold some of the last pieces of my mother's jewelry to get released from the hospital. I did not have $10 to buy milk that night. I tried my hands on 3 businesses with no money, and I failed in all 3. Finally, November 13, 1975, I left India, went to US, initially went to Toronto, and started life with a bucket in my hand, washing cars door to door. For about a year and a half, I was washing cars on the street. Folks, totally by accident, I got into selling life insurance. And in my opinion, that was the best thing that ever happened to me in my life. But within 90 days, my manager called me right back to fire me for non-performance. I told my manager, give me one more shot. Now, from this point onwards, what changed in my life? I attended a program by Dr. Norman Vincent Peale, the man who wrote the book Power of Positive Thinking. I'm sure you must have heard the name. And things changed from there. I started hitting $1 million policies, moved on to the US, got into 3 businesses, and I bought out a company out of California in 1984, started the New Jersey operation with no clients, and I sold my company with close to 500 clients for a decent sum. Now, folks, that's the last 45 years of my life. Now, this pandemic has literally taken over the whole world. And because of that, there is a lot of uncertainty. Because nobody knows, Rishma, nobody knows where is the finish line, when is the finish line, nobody knows. And which is leading to a lot of insecurity. People are feeling insecure, Mr. Lamba, very insecure. Now, and that insecurity is leading to anxiety, stress, frustration, depression, and even anger. Now, all I can say is that stress is both normal and natural. Anybody who says they don't have stress, they belong into the lunatic asylum. See, we all go through stress. Now, folks, and all stress is not bad. Folks, the athlete at the Olympics, is he under stress? Answer is yes. If he was not, could he ever perform? The answer is no. Now, folks, the example that I can think of, Rishma, is that at the race course, have you seen the thoroughbreds? The thoroughbreds, when they're being taken into the cabin, are they walking casually relaxed? Answer is no. They're all jumping like this. Mr. Lamba, stay with me. Mr. Lamba, stay with me. Skip all what you're doing on the other side. Otherwise, you might as well log out if you're looking at something else. You see, all these thoroughbreds, they're jumping like this because they're under very heavy stress. And when they're taken into the cabin and the bell rings, what do? They shoot and they perform. That's a thoroughbred. But if you take a jackass to the race course, this jackass walks so comfortably, so relaxed, he's not jumping like the thoroughbreds. But then for the rest of his life, he will remain a jackass and he will never perform like a thoroughbred. Folks, this statement, Mr. Lamba, is very important. Stress is the price we pay to be a thoroughbred in life. I repeat, stress is the price we pay to be a thoroughbred in life. Now, you see, Rishma, all of us can handle stress. What we cannot handle is chronic stress. Are you with me? We all can handle stress. What we cannot handle is chronic stress. That is the time we start breaking down. Correct. Think about it. How come under the same set of circumstances, some people break records while others break themselves? How come? Let me ask you one more time. Think about it. How come under the same set of circumstances, some people break records while others break themselves? How come? All I can say is, let us not overrate this crisis and let us not underrate our strength to fight and win. Now, this crisis has impacted us three ways. One, it has impacted our life. Two, it has impacted our livelihood. 3, it has impacted our lifestyle. Now, how has it impacted our life? Folks, what we do and where we go and who we meet could be a matter of life and death. I repeat one more time. What we do and where we go and who we meet could be a matter of life and death. That's one, life. Now, how has it impacted our life, livelihood? All over the world, either there have been salary cuts, job cuts, businesses have closed, even governments are struggling to get taxes, they're not getting it. Now, the interesting thing is that every few years, you get a new buzzword. A few years ago, the buzzword was startup, startup, startup. So everybody was starting up. Then the new buzzword came, make in India, make in India, make in India. So everybody was making in India. And now the new buzzword is work from home. Work from home, work from home. Now, I had a banker visit me the other day, and I asked him, I said, you people are paying salaries to your people. You're paying salaries to your staff. Are you getting the output? Can you justify the compensation? Can you justify the money that you're paying them? You know what his answer was? He says, Mr. Khera, the 80-20 rule applies. 80-20 rule applies. And that is that only 20% of people are mature and responsible who can work without supervision. 20%. 80%, even if you give them measurable targets, they still need supervision. And people who are not mature, they think working from home is a paid vacation. It's not. Are you with me? Working from home is not a paid vacation.
True.
And now, maybe in IT and some other industries, you can work from home. But Mr. Lamba, tell me, how do you work from home in a construction industry? Can you? Answer is no.
No way.
How can you work from home in a manufacturing industry? Can you? Answer is no. So there is only to a point you can work from home. Okay. Now the next one comes. I recall very well when I was selling life insurance in the US, I was on 100% commission, total commission. Now, I would not get any money if I didn't sell, and I had no money anyway. But I saw in my company, there were some people who were getting salaries. Rashma, they were getting salaries, but they were not doing the job. Hear this, they were getting salaries, but they were not doing the job. Now, that is the time I learned the difference between making money versus earning money. And I learned that making money is criminal, earning money is spiritual. Mr. Lamba, are you with me? Making money is criminal, earning money is spiritual. And sadly, most people want to make money, very few want to earn money. Because what is the difference between the two? When you earn money, you put your energy and ethics behind it. I repeat, you put your energy and ethics behind it. That is called earning money. And today, generation has to understand one more thing, that wages without work amounts to stealing. Are you with me? Wages without work amounts to stealing. But who's teaching all this stuff? I don't think any business school is teaching all this stuff today. Okay, now come to the next side. The third is it has impacted our lifestyle. Now, till this lockdown came in, all of us were in the fast lane. We were running. Where we were going, we didn't know, but we were going all right. We had no time. Look at this. We had no time. Now, interestingly, the amount of time-saving devices we have today, we have never had that many in history. And yet, We don't have what? We don't have what?
Time.
We don't have time. What a paradox. You know why we don't have time? Because somewhere we messed up our priorities. And I'm not giving lectures here. I'm guilty myself. And when we mess up our priorities, we forget to distinguish between what's urgent in life and what's important in life. Urgent may or may not be important, and important may or may not be urgent. But the interesting thing is, whenever we ignore what is important, it always converts into urgent. See, now health is important, but it's not urgent. Exercising every day is important, but it's not urgent. Now, if I have a crucial meeting tonight and if I cannot exercise, it's not the end of the world. But if I ignore my health long enough, guess what happens? I will end up in the hospital. Look at this. Whenever we ignore what is important, it always converts into urgent. Now, in life, relationships are important, but they're not urgent. But if you ignore relationship long enough, guess what happens? You start talking through your lawyers. Are you with me? You start talking through your lawyers. Whenever we ignore what is important, it always converts into urgent. Now, this crisis has done one more thing. Literally made us step backwards and reevaluate our priorities. You ask people, why do you go to work? I go to work for my family. Why do you work hard? I work hard for my family. Who are the most important people in your life? My family. And who are the most neglected? Also my family. What a joke. The most important people in life also become most neglected too. And I'm guilty myself. Folks, till now, we were all running, we had no time. But this crisis has made people step backwards and say, buddy, we were running all right, but check, were we running in the right direction? And the moral of this little story is that in life, direction is much more important than speed. Are you with me? That in life, direction is much more important than speed. Now, we have this little quotation which says, winners don't do different things, they do things differently. And many times people ask me, Mr. Khera, what do they do differently? And my answer is, winners form the habit of doing things losers don't like to do. Think about it. And what are the things losers don't like to do? They're the same things winners don't like to do either, but they do it anyway. See, losers don't like to get up in the morning. Winners don't like to get up in the morning either, but they get up anyway. See, losers don't like to work hard. Winners don't like to work hard either, but they work hard anyway. See, winners form the habit of doing things losers don't like to do. Why am I saying this? Because if we have to think to do the right thing, we can never do it right. It must come automatic. It must come automatic. How many times have you heard people saying like this? Oh, that this person is just lucky. This person is just lucky. Every time he touches dirt becomes gold. And this guy is just unlucky. Every time he touches gold becomes dirt. Have you heard that? People talking like this. Now, the person we call lucky, that every time he touches dirt becomes gold, analyze their life. Analyze every transaction in their life. You will find the positive behavior has become habitual. Every time they do it, they just do it right. It happens right. Their reflexes are moving right. See, Mr. Lamba, I don't care how old you and I are. When we were growing up, our parents said one thing: form good habits and habits form characters. Are you with me? Form good habits and habits form characters, because 90% of our behavior is what? It is habitual. We don't think, we just act. And if we have positive habits, we are a positive character. And if we have negative habits, we are a negative character. And good habits are hard to come by, but they're easy to live with. And bad habits come easy, but they're hard to live with. And before we got the habits got us. Are you with me?
Yes, sir.
Before we got the habit has got us. Now, why am I sharing this? Go check out. You must have heard this phrase many times. It says, practice makes perfect. Practice makes perfect. Now, do you agree with this phrase? If you do, just do a thumbs up. Do you agree? Practice makes perfect. Do you agree with that, Rishma? Okay, both of you gave the wrong answer. Both of you gave the wrong answer. Now, hear this. Practice does not make perfect. Practice only makes permanent whatever you practice. I repeat, practice only makes permanent whatever you practice. Remember, only perfect practice makes perfect. Some people keep practicing their mistakes and they become perfect in making mistakes. See, I am not playing on words. Go check out in martial art. When people start learning martial art, they get the white belt, yellow belt, green belt, purple belt, orange belt, brown belt, black belt. 5 years later, they are practicing what? The same thing they learned when they got the white belt. And what is it? Block punch, block punch, block punch, block punch. 5 years later, this black belt is still doing block punch. Why? Because the teacher wants to get the block and punch into reflex action. Because the teacher realizes that if the student is ever in a street fight, if he has to think to block and punch, guess what will happen? He'll get beaten up. A martial arts student never has to think to block and punch. Their reflexes move so fast. And when these young kids start learning martial art, they want to hit hard. And the teacher says at that time, son, go slow. Go slow. Learn the right form first. Speed will come later. Because if your form is incorrect, and if you have speed, you'll fracture your own hand. And that is what will become permanent. Go slow. Remember, practice does not make perfect. Practice only makes permanent whatever we practice. I'll share with you an example, live example. There are many people who tell lies. And they justify their lies by saying, I am being diplomatic. And you know, interestingly, you ask them, why do you tell lies? You know what their answer is? Oh, this is a little lie. This is a little lie. When the big one comes, I'll tell the truth. Mr. Lamba, you practice enough little lies in life. When the big one comes, what happens? You end up telling a big lie. You see, many times people say there's a little thing, when the big one comes, I'll show courage. You practice cowardice enough little things in life. When the big one comes, what happens? You end up being a big coward. Are you with me? Remember, practice does not make perfect. Practice only makes permanent whatever we practice. And if we have to think to do the right thing, we can never do it right. It must come automatic. See, when we do our 4-day leadership program, we do 4-day leadership program in 20 different countries for Lufthansa, Johnson & Johnson, and people walk away with an action plan, 31-day action plan. But what is the magic on 31 days? Research shows any behavior you practice constantly, consistently for 31 days, 32nd day becomes a habit. And that's about it. Now, let us look at further. One more thing. I said winners form the habit of doing things losers don't like to do. And what is the second thing that winners do? differently. Winners always put in that extra effort even when it hurts. I repeat one more time. Winners always put in that extra effort even when it hurts. Now, folks, let me ask you, who was the legend in martial art? Give me a name, Rishma. Who was the legend in martial art in the century?
Bruce Lee.
Bruce Lee, thank you, sir. Now, you know the name Bruce Lee, Mr. Lamba. But tell me, did you also know that Bruce Lee's one leg was shorter than the other by 1 inch? Did you know that?
No.
Sir, 1 mm, 2 mm, 3 mm can disalign a person. His one leg was shorter than the other by 1 inch. Now, and Bruce Lee's eyesight was -10. Rishma, -10. He could not see his opponent without lenses. Now, Bruce Lee practiced 5,000 punches per day. And he said one thing. I've quoted in my new book, You Can Achieve More, which said, Bruce Lee said, I'm not afraid of a person who knows 10,000 ways how to kick. He said, I'm afraid of a person who knows only one way, but he's practiced it 10,000 times. Man, what a message, what a message. Now, let me ask you two people I can see here. Was Bruce Lee an exception? Say yes, no.
Perhaps.
Incorrect answer. One more incorrect answer. See, you go check out anybody who's done anything in this world worthwhile. They've always done through adversity. I'll share with you one more name. Michael Phelps, you heard the name very well.
Yes.
He created history at Beijing, won 8 gold medals. Now, you know the achievement of Michael Phelps, 8 gold medals at Beijing. But did you also know that 2 years prior to the Olympics, he fractured his hand? Michael Phelps fractured his hand. And the doctor said, you cannot get in the water anymore. And even if your hand does get repaired, question is, will it have the same strength? You are competing at the Olympics, not your neighborhood kids. Now, Michael Phelps was preparing for this event for a decade, and he could not see his lifetime dream shatter. As somebody said, well, Rishma, hear this. Skip all that, what you're doing on the other side. Michael Phelps said, he could not see his lifetime dream shatter. He said, dreams are not what come in sleep. Dreams are those that don't let you sleep. He said, I will continue my practice, and he did. And he said, I will use my legs, not my hands. 2 years later, he created history. At Beijing, won 8 gold medals. And the press was there. When he won 8 gold medals, one of the pressmen asked him, must be your lucky day. Mr. Phelps, must be your lucky day. When Michael Phelps heard that one, he didn't like it. He said, you come here, I'll tell you how lucky I got. He said, in the last 4 years, I have trained 10,000 hours. And if you're good at maths, that translates into 2,500 hours per year. And if you're good at calculus, that translates into close to 8 hours per day, no Sunday. And he said, you go sit in the water for 8 hours every day for the next 4 years, your body will shrivel. And he asked, did I get lucky? Did I get lucky? He said, luck is not designed to deliver you these things in life. And he said, athletes train 15 years for 15 seconds of performance. Are you with me? Athletes train 15 years for 15 seconds of performance. Go ask them, did they get lucky? Folks, too many crackpots keep waiting for a jackpot. It doesn't work that way. Folks, now the question is, Was Michael Phelps an exception? Answer is no. Go look at Steve Jobs. If you heard his speech at Stanford, his first sentence was, I came to this world unwanted. Do you know the day he was born, he was put up for adoption. He said, nobody wanted me. Nobody wanted me. Now, why am I sharing example like Steve Jobs, Michael Phelps, Bruce Lee? Because all these people had problems, and major problems. And when you hear real life examples of real people like this, it forces us to redefine the word success. Mr. Lamba, success is not absence of problems, it is overcoming problems. Are you with me? It is not absence of problems, it is overcoming. And all these people had big problems, and many of them had much bigger problems than you and I are facing today. You see, success is not measured by how high we go up in life. It is measured by how many times we bounce back when we fall down. That is success. Because all success stories are stories of great failures. Okay, now let me share with you, in the interest of time, how do we overcome stress? How do you turn a setback into a comeback? How do you do it? If I have time, I will cover 9 steps. If not, at least I will cover 4 or 5 of them. I'll go slow. If you want to take them down, please do so. Now, folks, all these people had problems. And Henry Ford said, I want solution-oriented people in my life. We're not stupid. We understand there are problems. But there are some people who are problem-focused. You know what that means? You give them a solution, they'll give you a problem. They have a problem for every solution. Henry Ford said, kick them out, kick them out. Okay, now how do we overcome problems? See, step one. It is called the Serenity Prayer. Serenity Prayer. And it goes this way. I went through a program by Dr. Norman Vincent Peale in New York about 45 years ago. And there were about 1,000 people, and I was one of them. Dr. Peale came, looked at everybody and said, you people appear so cool, calm, comfortable. It appears nobody has a problem here. Then he asked, does anybody here have a problem? Now, who doesn't have a problem? So everybody raised their hand. We all have problems. Then he asked, how many people would like to get rid of their problem? Again, everybody raised their hand. Then Dr. Peale said, while I was coming here, I came across a place where I saw there were some people lying down, all stretched out, comfortable, totally relaxed. They had no problem whatsoever. How many people would like to know where that place is? Again, everybody raised their hand. And then Dr. Peale said, 2 blocks away from here, there is a cemetery. Shamshan Ghat. 2 blocks away from here, there is a cemetery. There are people lying there, all stretched out, comfortable, totally relaxed. They have no problem whatsoever. Then he asked, how many people would like to get rid of their problem? Nobody raised their hand, everybody put their hand in their pocket. And then Dr. Peale said, remember, problem is a sign of life. So long as we are alive, we shall have problems. The day we don't have problems, we'll be dead. And he said, that day, when you're running short of problems, that is the time to get on your knees and pray to God. If you stop trusting me anymore, send me some problems. And that day, he gave a prayer which is called the Serenity Prayer. And in my opinion, that is the gist of life. And for the past 45 years, I have never left my home without the prayer. And it has helped me overcome many, many, many difficulties. And the prayer goes like this. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things that I cannot change, and courage to change the things that I can, and wisdom to know the difference what I can and what I cannot. I repeat one more time. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things that I cannot change, and courage to change the things that I can, and wisdom to know the difference what I can and what I cannot. Now, if you analyze and dissect this little prayer, God, grant me the serenity to accept the things that I cannot change. Now, my question is, can we change everything in this world to suit ourselves? The answer is no. Can we mold everything to make it convenient to ourselves? Answer is no. There are many things beyond us, such as, I didn't choose my parents. Neither did you. I didn't decide where I was going to be born. Neither did you. If this is my height and the color of my skin, there's nothing I can do about it. And granted, there are some people who are born deformed. And sometimes bad things happen to good people for no fault of their own. What wrong did they do? Who knows? I don't know. So it says, what I cannot change, let me accept it graciously, not grudgingly. Because many times in life, we keep fighting the things we just cannot change, and we bring stress into our lives, and we become paralyzed, and we become unproductive. So it says, what I cannot change, let me accept it graciously, not grudgingly. And two, if I can change, then give me the guts to do it. And three, wisdom to know the difference, what I can and what I cannot. Now, when I wrote my book, You Can Achieve More, I took this thought 2 steps forward. And I wrote in my book, life is full of choices and life is full of compromises. Seems like a contradiction, but not really. See, how is life full of choices? See, if I ill-treat you, I have chosen to be ill-treated, haven't I? If I treat you with discourtesy, I have chosen to be treated with discourtesy, haven't I? And if I light up a cigarette, I have chosen to invite cancer, haven't I? If I drink and drive, I have chosen to invite an accident, haven't I? And if I exercise every day, I have chosen to invite good health, haven't I? You see, if I eat too much every day, I have chosen to be obese, haven't I? And hear this, if I tell lies, I have chosen to lose my credibility, haven't I? And if I tell the truth, I have chosen to be a credible person, haven't I? See, life is full of choices. Now hear this sentence. We are all free to the point of choice. But after we make our choices, the choice controls the chooser. We have no more choice. I repeat, our freedom stops. We are all free to the point of choice only. But after we make our choices, the choice controls the chooser. We have no more choice after that. Are you with me? Okay. Now, how is life full of compromises? See, answer is, Is everything in control in our lives? Answer is no. See, as somebody said, well, we cannot choose the cards that are dealt to us in life. What we can choose is how we play the game. I repeat, we cannot choose the cards that are dealt to us. What we can choose is how we play the game. And that is the key. And sometimes nature gives us a lemon. The choice is ours. Do we cry or do we make lemonade? That's our choice. Now, sometimes people do ask me one question, Mr. Khera, people who are successful, don't they make mistakes in life? And people who fail, don't they do positive things in life? And my answer is that people who succeed in life, they do make mistakes. But remember, making a mistake once in a while does not bring failure. Repeating the same mistake again and again is what brings failure. And doing something positive once in a while does not bring success either. Repeating the same positive behavior again and again is what brings success. Folks, what is success? Series of positive choices in life is called success, and series of negative choices in life is called failure, and that's it, nothing else. Okay, that's one. Step two. In order to overcome crisis, or in order to turn a setback into a comeback, folks, learn to convert wasted time to productive time. Learn to convert downtime to uptime. Now, folks, if during this crisis, if we have not done three things, if we have not upskilled ourselves, or become more knowledgeable, or become healthier and fitter, we cannot blame that we had no time. Well, let me share with you an example, which again, I'll send you my books, both of you, the new book, You Can Achieve More. It's written in there. We have quoted a survey in the US, which was before the crisis, by the way, which said that an average American watches 4 hours of TV per day. This is, by the way, before crisis. Right now, there are people watching 8 hours of TV per day. And this is not average American, but this is average European, Indian, Australian. Everybody watches 4, 5, 6 hours of TV per day. One man went to a friend who used to watch 4 hours of TV per day, and he asked him, how much did this TV cost you? So the friend said, $1,000. He said, you don't know how to calculate the money value of your time. He said, what do you mean? He said, tell me, how much money do you make a year? He said, I make $100,000 per year. He said, how many hours do you work a year? He said, 2,000 hours per year. He said, your hourly rate comes to $50 an hour. $50 an hour, and you watch 4 hours of TV per day, that is $200 per day. Multiply 365 because you watch the whole year, 365 TV. And if you multiply all that put together, it comes to close to $100,000 per year. Do you realize that is more than your EMI on $1 million home? Hello? You don't know how to calculate the money value of your time. He said, there is $100,000 that is more than your EMI on $1 million home. Now, don't get me wrong. We all watch TV, we like to watch TV. There are nice plays, movies. It relaxes us. But tell me, watching 4 hours TV per day, what the hell are you doing? You are wasting your life. And that's all you're doing. Okay, now, it's not over here. But in the same book, I have given one more survey. And that survey says that 85% of millionaires and billionaires in the world, Mr. Lamba, today are first generation. Did you know that?
Yes, sir.
85% of millionaires and billionaires in the world are first generation. Only 15% coming from inheritance. And these people were asked, how did you achieve so much financial success in such a short time? You know what they said? They said, we read books. How many books? 50 books a year. 50 books a year means one book a week. One book a week. Multi-millionaires and billionaires read one book a week. Warren Buffett, go check Wikipedia. Warren Buffett reads 6 to 8 hours per day. Bill Gates is an avid reader. And they were asked, what kind of books do you read? And the answer was, we don't have time to waste. We don't read fiction because fiction will remain fiction. And the answer was, we only read self-help books. You know why? Because one good idea is worth $1 million. Folks, tell me, how many ideas do we need to succeed in life? Only one.
Yeah.
And there are people who are watching TV all day. They're unemployed, underemployed, but you know what they say? I have no time. I have no time. They will never get time. And for the rest of their life, they will keep struggling. And you know what they say? I'm unlucky. Good for you. Stay unlucky. That's what you deserve. You don't want to put in anything more. And I've learned one more thing. That a serious reader will never borrow or lend books. They never borrow or lend books. Many times people come and tell me, Mr. Khera, I got a great new book, I can lend it to you. I said, don't. Either give it to me, gift it to me, sell it to me, don't lend it to me. Give it to me, gift it to me, sell it to me, don't lend it to me. Why? Because I won't give it back to you. Why? Because when I read a book, I always underline, make notes on the side. Why? Because I learned one thing, reading a good book once is not good enough. Why? Because when you read the book second time, I don't have time to read the entire book. I will only read my underline and my written stuff on the side. That's about it. Now, I'll share with you a live example. Reading a good book once is not good enough. I have Arrow Electronics. It's a $26 billion company. Out of US, they're my clients. They just celebrated the last quarter as the bumper quarter in the company sale, $2 billion in sale in 90 days. They celebrated, it was an award function. They invited me to keynote, and I did. So I asked the managing director, I said, how come you achieved so much success during this lockdown period? And his answer was, he said, Mr. Khera, you probably don't know, I attended a leadership program about 10, 15 years ago. And he said, at the back, you had a stall of your books and tapes and everything. He said, I bought your stall. I bought everything there. And he said, not for me myself. He said, when I took over as managing director of Arrow Electronics, we had 2% market share. He said, today we have 20% market share. And he said, I bought a few hundred of your books. And he said, I gave it to all my people in my office. Everybody in my company has read your book. And you can win. And he says, not once, but in the last 10 years, they have read at least 15 times. Everybody has read your book 15 times. And he said, I have read your book 15 times. I know your book by heart. And if you ever forget a paragraph in your own book, call me, I'll tell you where it is. I know your book by heart. See, folks, there are people who tell me, I have read your book once. I said, you wasted your time and money too. You haven't got anything out of it. Zero. There are books I read 5, 6 times myself. It's worth it. Now, so you see, this lockdown came in March last year. I did my first webinar on 8th of April. Now, Mr. Lamba, till 8th of April, I was learning to do SMS for my grandchildren.
Mm-hmm.
In my life, I had never done an email. Rishma, I never done an email in my life. I didn't know how to turn the computer on. I'm not an expert even now. As you can tell, probably we had a little problem getting this thing going right now. But I've learned how to operate the computer a little bit now. So what have I done? I have upskilled myself a little bit. And this program that I'm doing for you people now, right now, do you know this is my 169th webinar in the last 1 year? 169th webinar. And I'm getting paid for it. I am getting paid for it. People are paying us from all over. I just did one for Deloitte. I did one for Pricewaterhouse. I did for Aviva. I did for Kodak. I mean, all these companies are paying us. What has happened? It has opened up a new line of business which I never knew. What have I done? I have upskilled myself a little. So 1, 2, I used to read about 20, 30 books every year. I dropped the habit. I went back and now I brought my books back again. And every day, Mr. Lamba, every day right now, I spend 2 to 3 hours per day in reading books or watching some motivational video. 2 to 3 hours per day. Hello?
Yes,
per
sir.
day. So I'm gaining more knowledge. And third, barring this last 6 months where I had a pneumonia attack, prior to that, I was almost 90 kilos. I lost 10 kilos of weight. I was exercising every day, feeling fitter, healthier and fitter. Now, all I'm saying is, if during this crisis, if you have not upskilled yourself or become more knowledgeable or become healthy and fitter, you cannot blame that I had no time. How can you say that?
Sure.
So learn to convert wasted time to productive time. Okay, step three. To overcome any crisis, folks, the way is to build strong relationships in life. Folks, our biggest asset in life is not our bank balance. It is our relationship balance. And we noticed one thing, that people who have good relationships in life, Mr. Lamba, what they can achieve with one phone call, you cannot achieve with $1 million. Are you with me?
Correct.
People who have good relationships, what they can achieve with one phone call, you cannot achieve with $1 million. I address business schools all over, many different parts of the world. And now in business schools, I've noticed that they teach them how to network. And they teach them Joint Chamber of Commerce, business school associations, Rotaries, Lions. Go do network. And you ask these young kids who are running around networking, and you ask them, what are you doing? And the answer is, I'm building contact. Now you ask them, why are you building contacts? I'm building contacts because he's a doctor, he's a lawyer, he's a politician, he's a mafia, he's a this or he's a policeman, or whatever. Someday the guy could be useful. Someday he could be useful. Usefulness goes, friendship goes. You see, they don't understand the difference. They have never been taught the difference between building a contact versus building a relationship, there's a big difference. Are you with me?
Yes, sir.
There is a big difference between building a contact versus building a relationship. Now, we have an office in Singapore. And one evening I came from dinner. A man met me in the lobby and he asked me, Mr. Khera, you came from dinner? I said, yes. And he asked me, you met some people tonight? I said, yes. And he said, I hope you met some people who could be useful to you. Now look at this. The moment he said, I hope you met some people who could be useful to you, I felt like giving him a piece of my mind and something else. You see, this guy, his criteria of meeting people was only one thing: usefulness. What he can extract out of them. In my opinion, these are parasites, rascals, selfish people. You can never build relationship with rascals like that. They don't understand one thing. Meeting good people in life is good enough. Usefulness is a byproduct of relationship. I repeat one more time, English language. Meeting good people in life is good enough. Usefulness is a byproduct of relationship. Let me share with you what I mean. Supposing I have a friend for the past 20 years, and tonight if he has a problem, who is the most natural person he will go for help to? The friend of 20 years. He is not going to make new friends. Is it my duty to help? Answer is yes. Remember one thing, helping a friend is a duty of a friend. It is never the purpose of friendship. Why? Because if it is the purpose finishes, friendship also finishes. It is always incidental to friendship, never the purpose of friendship. I repeat, meeting good people in life is good enough. And helping each other is a byproduct of relationship. Are you with me? It's a byproduct. Now, what builds relationship? What builds relationship? You keep hearing this, that in life we need to be tolerant. Tolerance is very important. So folks, tolerance is an important thing. How many agree that tolerance is a good word? Thumbs up. Thumbs up, yes, no. Okay, again, incorrect answer. One more wrong answers. See, let me share with you, I would replace the word tolerance with mutual respect. You see, I and my wife live together not because we can tolerate each other. We live together because we respect each other. The day the respect for each other goes, we cannot live together. If we are only living together because we tolerate each other, it's a matter of time before we postpone the blast. Similarly, employers and employees work long-term together, not because they can tolerate each other. They work long-term together because they respect each other. Mutual respect is the word. And what builds mutual respect? In life, we need to learn to give in life. We cannot just be a taker. Now, I've gone through this program almost a little more than an hour. You tell me one thing, you people up here, very experienced people. Tell me any one business school teaches all this stuff that I've just talked in the last 1 hour. Not one in this world. See, I had the Dean of James Cook University from Australia, attend our program. And he said, Mr. Khera, we want your program in our university, in our college, in our Singapore campus. So we are now, they've signed up with us, they've partnered with us. We're setting up a leadership center for them in the Singapore campus. And we do corporate training. See, Mr. Lamba, when we do corporate training, when we tell our people there in corporate training that, look, what we are doing in your corporation today is repair work, repair. Now, if you prepare them, you won't have to repair them. Where do you prepare them? You prepare them in schools and colleges, and sadly they are not. So what we have done is we have created a program called Prepare Them, Don't Repair Them. Prepare them, don't repair them. Okay, that is step 3. Step 4. Second last, and I'll take one more and I'll wind up. Folks, if you want to overcome stress in life, become a proactive person, not a reactive person. Become a proactive person. What does that mean? I've been doing leadership training for the last 35 years with Lufthansa, Johnson & Johnson in 20 countries. But interestingly, I've learned one thing, that a good leader always takes a stand for something and takes a stand against something. A good leader is never neutral. If he's neutral, he's a politician. Are you with me? If he's neutral, he is a politician. You take a stand for something, stand against something. Interestingly, Mr. Lamba, it so happened once, I was addressing 5,000-6,000 people, right, and a man from the audience came up and he says, Mr. Khera, are you a Gandhian? Are you a Gandhian? So, Rushma, I learned one thing. Before you answer a question, one, you must clarify, and two, sometimes the best answer to a question is a question. So I asked him, sir, can you tell me who is a Gandhian? Can you define a Gandhian for me? Can you give me the principles of being a Gandhian? So he said Gandhi believed in 3 principles. Number 1, with love, you can win everybody in this world. With love, you can win everybody. 2, tolerance, you should be tolerant. 3, non-violence. 3 principles of Gandhi. Then he asked me again, are you a Gandhian? So I told him, I said, look, I've been living in the US for the past 45 years. I'm an Indian. And being an Indian, we respect our epics, the Ramayana, Mahabharata, and so on. I've not read them, but I've heard them. So I don't know what came to my mind. I asked him, was Ram a Gandhian? I mean, let's look at it. Was Ram a Gandhian? Let's look at your 3 principles of being a Gandhian. 1, with love, you can win everybody. Tell me, was Ram able to win with love everybody? Answer is, no, he was not. So he failed the first test. Number 2, you said tolerance. Did Ram say, I'm a very tolerant person? You kidnap my wife, it's okay, I'll get a second one. You'll kidnap a second one, I'll get a third one. You'll kidnap a third one, I'll get a fourth one. Did he say that? He said, no, I don't tolerate kidnappers. I don't tolerate kidnappers. So Ram failed the second test. And third, you said non-violence. I said, tell me, what did Ram do? He pulled out his weapon and he killed. That's violence, man. Don't you understand English? That is violence. Even for self-defense, that is violence. So I said, Ram failed the third test also. So that means Ram was not a Gandhian. And by the way, Ram didn't say, let's compromise. Ram didn't say, let's compromise, let us share, why fight, let us share. He didn't say that. He said, I take a stand for something, take a stand against something. He said, can we come and compromise and talk? He said, no, there is no compromise. Shut up. Shut up is the answer. And I said, you keep quoting your scriptures all the time. I said, show me one scripture which says that when the enemy is auctioning the respect and dignity of your women and children, where does it say at that time that you should go to the temple and do bhajan, kirtan and meditation at that time? I said, damn it, that's the time to fight. Not fighting is called cowardice. And I said, remember, I am not a Gandhian. I am not a Gandhian. If you want to be a good leader in life, learn to take a stand. I repeat, learn to take a stand. And lastly, and I believe most of our audience today are from Indian origin. Am I right, Rushma? Most of them. So they would understand, and this is very, very important for more so for our Indian audience, because this, what I'm going to share with you, is crucial. Because I believe very strongly that faith gives strength. Faith gives strength. Blind faith leading to superstition weakens people. I repeat one more time. Faith gives you strength, but blind faith leading to superstition weakens people. In Hindi it says, विश्वास ताकत देती है, अंधविश्वास कमजोर बनाता है. Now, why am I sharing this with you? One of the biggest damage done to the Indian society has been done by our media, print media, electronic media. Anytime you turn the TV on, and I bet it's global now, anywhere in the world you go back and see, Middle East, Africa, anywhere, you turn the TV on, what do you see? There is a Babaji, so-called spiritual man there, and wearing saffron or white clothes and wearing three tilak here, Maharaj, Guruji, Maharaj, and he's got a laptop right here. And somebody calls up Guruji, and Guruji asks, where are you calling from? What is your place of birth, date of birth? Guruji, I don't know. He said, don't worry, I'll take it out. So he has a laptop in front of him. And he does tick, 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 tick. And he says, तुम्हारा दूसरा तीसरे के घर में बैठा है, तीसरा चौथे के घर में बैठा है, चौथा पांचवे के घर में बैठा है, छठा उसके घर में बैठा है. And then he says, you become money. And then he says, wait a minute, Shani chad gaya. Now Shani is hitting you now. Now this guy is scared. How do I get rid of Shani? So the answer is, Guruji says, take a black rumal, black handkerchief, put some black dal inside, put a black kajal, find a person with black hair and rotate it 7 times, then find a black dog, find a black bartan, and do all these things. And there are people who are doing it. My question is, Rishma, tell me, if it is so easy to get Shani in, Shani out, Shani in, Shani out, Shani in, Shani out, if it is so easy to get Shani in, Shani out, why don't we send Shani to Pakistan, destroy all the terrorists? Why don't we send Shani to Ladakh to fight the Chinese? Lamaji, why don't we send Shani to Ladakh to fight the Chinese? And my big question to you is, why does Shani permanently stay in India? Shani never goes to Australia. Shani never goes to New Zealand. Hey, what is the matter? Why doesn't Shani go to New Zealand ever? Never. Why am I sharing all this with you? For a very important reason. If you look at the life history of Swami Vivekananda, Swami Dayanand, Guru Nanak, they never believed in all these things. And in fact, they fought against it. I'm sure you have many Sikh friends in Kuwait. Do you know Guru Nanak fought against it? In Sikh families, they never check horoscopes. There is no Manglik. Do you know every Sikh wedding is done on a Sunday? There is no Mahurat. And Sunday doesn't sit right, they do it on a Saturday. Saturday doesn't sit right, they do it on a Friday. Now, I will share with you something. This is very important. This, if you can read it, see it, what I'm saying here. There is an article, it says superstition. This is an article in India Today. India Today, January 2018 issue. Astrology and superstition. It says because of superstition and astrology, in many parts of India, natural childbirth has gone down by 80%. 80%. And they have quoted here, especially South India, Madras, Bangalore, Hyderabad. 80%, if you Google it, you will find 80% of childbirth in South India is done through C-section operation. You know why? Some astrologers said this is good time to pull out the kid at this time. How do you like that? This is what is going on. Now, look, there are people chasing these Babajis and they touch their feet. Damn it, this guy should be jailed. And you are touching their feet. I'll share with you, once I was going to airport and the driver hit the brakes so hard, the car came to a screeching halt. So I asked the driver, I said, what happened? He said, Sahab, Billi rasta kaat gayi. The cat has crossed the road. Billi rasta kaat gayi. So I said, now what will happen? He said, this is bad omen, upshagun. He said, something wrong will happen. I said, if I miss my flight, a lot of wrong will happen. So I asked him, I said, what are you going to do? He said, I'm going to stop the car. I said, for how long? He said, till somebody else passes through. So I said, then it will be bad omen for them. They will have a problem. He said, that's their problem. He said, that is their problem. Don't worry about that. But then I asked him one more thing. I said, tell me, supposing you are 20 yards behind, and if the cat had crossed the road and you had not seen the cat, in that case, you would have just been coming straight and you would have been the first car. Then what would have happened? Just hear his answer. He says, sir, in that case, बिल्ली की power कम हो जाती है. बिल्ली की power कम हो जाती है. Now, you both are laughing. Do you know educated people like PhDs and MBAs are doing the same thing here today? What a sad thing today. But this is what it is. Now, why am I sharing this with you? Look, life does not always go up, 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 up. Life is a roller coaster. We have ups and downs. Yes, no?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, you see, interesting thing is, when we have a down in life, a person who's looking to go up, they analyze and they ask a question. If a similar situation came again, will I behave the same way? If the answer is yes, means I have not learned anything. You see, they learn from it, analyze it, accept responsibility, and don't repeat the same thing. But a person who's not getting anywhere, When things go wrong, you know what they say? Not my fault. My stars are not favoring me. They will always blame the stars. They will never accept responsibility. And they keep repeating the same mistake again and again. And then they say, I'm unlucky. Well, good for you. I just want to say one thing, especially more so the Indian audience here. See, during a Q&A session, I had one person ask me, Mr. Khera, that there are people who go to temples and they stand in line for 10, 12 hours for darshan. 10 hours, 12 hours for darshan. Is that faith or blind faith? So my answer is only one. I said, look, I pray every day. Now, why do I pray? Because I believe in God. Why do I believe in God? Have I seen God? Who is God? Where is God? What is God? No, I don't have the answer. Now, if I don't have the answer to who is God, where is God, what is God, then why believe in God? I don't know. Now, I believe in God only for one reason. Because there are so many things in this world, in this universe, unexplained. Now, anything that is unexplained, Mr. Lamba, it can be a miracle or a mystery. I don't know. It can be a miracle or a mystery. I don't know. I don't know. So whatever that happens to be, it makes me feel that this universe, the planets, the sun, the moon, everything that is created, it is not the work of any human. So it is the work of some superhuman. And if it is superhuman, there's got to be some superpower. Superhuman can only be done by superpower, and I don't know what it is, but I just call it God, so I don't know. But in the last 45 years, barring 3-4 times, I've never gone to any temple. Now, I feel very strongly that 90% people go to temples today more out of fear than out of faith. You don't do this, this will happen. You don't do this, this will happen. You don't do this, this will happen. I saw one guy, Mr. Lamba, wearing 10 rings with 10 different stones. 10 rings, all 10 rings, 10 different stones. I said, maybe on your feet also you got 10 more rings there. I don't know. Folks, all I can say is in life, we need to accept responsibility. There is no other answer. So I just want to close this program by only one statement of great pride, and that's not my statement. This statement has come from the Government of Canada. There is one community, because this is time to give back. See, we are grateful to God that we have a good home to live and we have good food to eat, but many people don't have good home and good food to eat. It is time for us to share and give back. And there is one community in the world who has been honored by the Government of Canada. How do you like that? I bet you must have seen that on the television somewhere. Government of United States, UK, Australia, New Zealand. One community has been honored for the humanitarian service all over the world, and especially in Europe. When there was a big lockdown from Europe side, that community served humanity at that time, and that community is the Sikh community of India. Sikh community of India has been honored everywhere, all over the world. You know, the concept of sharing langar goes 500 years from time of Guru Nanak. And this community believes in 3 things: sharing, caring, and daring. Sharing, they share. Caring, they care. And daring, they have the guts to fight. And the best part is that the Sikh philosophy rests on 3 principles. That's why they've been honored all over the world. And I felt so proud when the government of Canada honored them. They said, see, the Sikh philosophy stays on 3 principles. Nam Jap, Vanchak, Kiratkar. Nam Jap is formless God. Vanchak is the concept of sharing. Kiratkar is the concept of hard work. Hard work. Work hard, because nothing is small. No work is below dignity.
Hi, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It seems that there is a power outage, perhaps, on Mr. Khera's side. So let's see if we can try to reconnect him. Just bear with us for a few minutes. Hi, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm back. Yeah, there seems to be a power outage. I just spoke with Mr. Khera. So difficult to reconnect now. But anyway, thank you all for participating this evening. And I think his talk was quite insightful, quite engaging. He seems to be fiercely passionate in the way he communicates and expresses his ideas and thoughts. Well, everybody have a wonderful evening, and God bless you all. Thank you, sir. Thank you.